The little girl appeared at my cafe table without warning, sliding into the seat across from me like we'd planned to meet there. She couldn't have been more than 7, with dark curly hair and eyes that were far too serious for her age. "You look nice," she announced, studying me with disconcerting intensity. "And safe. Are you safe?" I blinked, looking around the busy Manhattan coffee shop for a parent, a guardian, anyone who might be looking for this child. "I'm sorry, are you lost? Should we find your mom or dad?" "I'm not lost. I'm hiding." She pulled a book from her backpack, something about Greek mythology that seemed advanced for her age. "Can I sit here? Just for a little while?" Every instinct told me to find an adult, to not get involved. But the look in her eyes, desperate, scared, trying so hard to be brave, made me pause. "What are you hiding from? The bad men? They're always watching, always following. Papa says they're for protection, but I don't want protection. I want to be normal." She opened her book like the conversation was over. "I won't bother you. I'll just read. They won't look for me here." I should have insisted we find her father. Should have called security. Should have done anything except what I did, which was pull out my own book and pretend to read while keeping an eye on this strange, too serious child. 20 minutes passed. The girl read intently, occasionally making notes in a small notebook. She ordered nothing, said nothing more to me, just existed in her own world while the coffee shop buzzed around us. Then I noticed them. 2 large men in dark suits moving through the cafe with purpose, scanning faces. Security. Or worse. The girl had noticed too. She'd gone very still, her book held like a shield. "Are those the men you're hiding from?" I whispered. She nodded, fear evident despite her attempts to hide it. I made a decision that would change everything. I reached across the table, took her small hand, and smiled like we'd been together all along. "There you are, sweetheart. I was wondering where you'd gone." Loud enough for the approaching men to hear. "Did you get your book from the car?" The girl's eyes widened, understanding immediately. "Yes, Aunt Claire. Sorry it took so long." The men reached our table, and up close they were even more intimidating. Professional security, clearly expensive, definitely armed. "Excuse me, miss. Have you seen a young girl about 7 years old, dark hair?" "You mean my niece?" I gestured to the girl who was now holding my hand and looking up at me with an expression of perfect innocence. "Is something wrong?" The men exchanged glances. "Your niece?" "Yes. We're having an afternoon together while her father works." "Is there a problem?" More glances. One of them spoke quietly into a radio. "We have her. She's with an aunt at the coffee shop on 5th and 23rd. A woman's voice crackled back, but I couldn't make out the words. The man listened, then looked at us with new assessment. "Miss, we need to verify your identity. The girl's father is very protective. We need to make sure I'm not kidnapping my own niece." I kept my voice pleasant despite my racing heart. "I understand. I'm Claire Morrison. Would you like to see my ID?" I had no idea why I was doing this, why I was lying to armed security for a child I'd met 20 minutes ago. But something about the girl's quiet desperation, her need to be normal, even if just for an afternoon, made me commit to the lie. The man took my ID, photographed it with his phone, sent it somewhere. We waited in tense silence, me pretending to be calm, the girl squeezing my hand, the security team ready to act if anything seemed wrong. "The father's on his way," the security man finally said, returning my ID. "He wants to speak with you personally." "Of course. We'll wait here." I smiled at the girl. "More time to read, right, sweetheart?" After the security backed off, not leaving, just giving us space, the girl leaned close. "Why did you help me?" she whispered. "Because you looked like you needed it, and because I remember what it's like to feel trapped, to want just a few minutes of normal." I squeezed her hand. "What's your real name?" "Isabella, but everyone calls me Bella." She bit her lip. "You're going to get in trouble. Papa doesn't like strangers near me. He's going to be really angry. Then we'll deal with that when he gets here. For now, do you want to tell me about your book?" For the next 10 minutes, Bella told me about Greek myths, with the enthusiasm of a child who'd finally found someone to listen. She was bright, articulate, clearly well-educated, but also clearly starved for normal interaction. Then the coffee shop went quiet. not completely silent, but that subtle shift when someone important enters a room and people instinctively respond. I looked up to see a man walking toward us, and I understood immediately why security was necessary. He was tall and powerfully built, moving through the cafe with the confidence of someone used to commanding space. Dark hair, sharp features, olive skin, and an aura of danger that made people step aside without being asked. He wore a black dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing muscular forearms covered in intricate tattoos. Expensive watch, heavy rings, and dark eyes currently fixed on me with an intensity that made my breath catch. This was not a man you lied to. This was not a man you crossed, and I'd just claimed to be his sister. "Papa!" Bella jumped up, running to him. He caught her, lifting her easily, his entire demeanor softening as he held his daughter. They spoke in rapid Italian, Bella explaining something while he listened with a patience that contradicted his dangerous appearance. Then his eyes found mine again, and the softness vanished. He set Bella down and approached my table, his security team materializing from wherever they'd been lurking. Up close, he was even more intimidating, not just physically imposing, but radiating a controlled danger that suggested violence was always an option. "Claire Morrison," he said, my fake name sounding like an accusation. "My daughter's aunt. Interesting considering I don't have a sister. I can explain, you lied to my security. Claimed to be family. Spent 30 minutes alone with my daughter." His voice was soft, controlled, more terrifying than if he'd been shouting. "Give me one reason I shouldn't have you arrested for attempted kidnapping." "Because she asked me to." I stood, refusing to be intimidated despite every instinct screaming at me to run. She sat down at my table, said she was hiding from the bad men who always watch her, and asked if she could just read her book in peace. So I let her. When your security came looking, I lied to give her a few more minutes of feeling normal. That's it. No kidnapping, no ill intent. Just a child who wanted to feel like a regular kid for half an hour. He stared at me for a long moment, processing this. Then he looked at Bella, who nodded confirmation. "She was nice, Papa. She let me read. She asked about my book. She didn't try to take pictures or ask questions about you or anything weird." Bella tugged on his hand. "Please don't be angry at her. She was helping you run away from your security, helping you put yourself in danger." But his tone with Bella was gentle, not angry. He crouched to her level. "Bella, those men aren't there to watch you. They're there to keep you safe. You know why we need security, I know. But Papa, I just wanted to be normal for a little while. Just read my book without men in suits standing 3 feet away." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm tired of being protected all the time." Something painful flickered across his face. He pulled her into a hug, murmuring something in Italian that made her nod against his shoulder. Then he stood, facing me again. "Your real name, and don't lie this time. Naomi Hayes. I'm a teacher. Elementary school, just a few blocks from here." I pulled out my actual ID, showing him. "I really am sorry for lying to your security. She looked so desperate for a moment of peace. I couldn't ignore that." He studied my ID, my face, making calculations I couldn't follow. "You're a teacher." "Yes." "And you saw a strange child in distress, and your instinct was to help rather than call authorities. Children don't ask strangers for help unless they're desperate. I figured I could give her 30 minutes of feeling normal, then make sure she got back to her family safely. I didn't realize her family came with armed security and..." I gestured vaguely at him, at his obvious danger. "And a father who doesn't take kindly to strangers lying about being related to his daughter." He pocketed my ID. "You're keeping this. You're coming with us." "What?" "No, I did nothing wrong. You did multiple things wrong. But you also helped my daughter, which is the only reason you're getting in the car instead of being handed to the police." He nodded to his security. "Marco, get her things. We're taking Miss Hayes home with us. You can't just kidnap me. I can do whatever I want. But I'm not kidnapping you. I'm ensuring you're who you say you are, that you're not a threat to my daughter, and that you understand the seriousness of what happened today." His expression was implacable. "You inserted yourself into our lives. Now you deal with the consequences." Bella tugged on my hand. "It's okay, Miss Naomi. Papa just wants to make sure you're safe too." "Right, Papa?" Something like that. He gestured toward the door. "Car, now." Unless you'd prefer I call the police and report that you claim to be family to access my minor child? He had me trapped and he knew it. I could either go with him voluntarily or be arrested for exactly what I'd done. Lied to security to spend time with a child who wasn't mine. Fine. But I want it on record that I'm going under duress. Noted. He guided me toward the door, one hand on my lower back that felt more like a threat than courtesy. Bella, stay close. The car was exactly what I expected. A black SUV with tinted windows, leather interior that probably cost more than my annual salary. Bella climbed in first, patting the seat beside her. I slid in next to the child, and her father got in on her other side, effectively trapping me. Where are we going? I asked as the car pulled into traffic, 2 more SUVs falling in behind us. My home, where we'll have a conversation about boundaries, safety, and why lying to my security was the stupidest thing you've done today. He was typing on his phone, probably checking my background, making sure I was really just a teacher. Papa, she didn't mean harm, Bella said softly. She was just being kind. Kindness without thought is dangerous, Piccola. What if she hadn't been kind? What if she'd been someone trying to hurt you? He looked at me. What if you'd been a threat, and I'd let you walk away because my daughter vouched for you? But I'm not a threat. I'm literally just an elementary school teacher who made a questionable decision to help a kid. Questionable is an understatement. His phone buzzed. He read something, his expression darkening. Marco, change of plans. Take us to the office first. I need to handle something before we go home. The office turned out to be a building in a neighborhood that clearly belonged to his organization. People on the street nodded respectfully as we passed, some moving aside before being asked. Inside, the building was elegant but functional, expensive without being ostentatious. Bella, go with Marco to the lounge. I need to speak with Miss Hayes privately. Papa, now Bella, please. She went reluctantly, and I was left alone with this dangerous man in an office that probably saw things I didn't want to imagine. Sit. He pointed to a chair across from his desk. I sat, trying to project more confidence than I felt. You're Naomi Hayes, 29, elementary school teacher for 6 years. Clean record, no criminal history, not even a parking ticket. He pulled up information on his computer. Rents an apartment in Queens, lives alone, volunteers at a literacy program on weekends. Remarkably boring life for someone who just lied to mob security. Mob security? I felt my stomach drop. You're exactly who you're afraid I am, which makes what you did today either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. He leaned back in his chair, studying me. My daughter is my entire world, the only good, pure thing in my life, and you helped her feel normal for 30 minutes, which suggests you're either genuine or playing a very sophisticated long game. I'm not playing any game. I saw a scared kid and made a snap decision to help. That's it. That's the whole story. Except now you know who I am, know who my daughter is. Know that lying to my security is possible if you're convincing enough. His dark eyes held mine. That knowledge makes you dangerous, Miss Hayes, even if you don't mean to be. So what, you're going to make me disappear? Kill me for helping your daughter? No, but I'm going to make sure you understand the situation you put yourself in. And I'm going to ensure you don't talk about today to anyone. He pulled out a document. Non-disclosure agreement. You sign it, you keep today's events to yourself, and you walk away. Refuse to sign, and we have a much more complicated conversation about witness intimidation and obstruction. I should have been terrified, should have signed immediately and run. Instead, I found myself asking, why does a 7-year-old need that level of security? What kind of danger is she in? The kind that comes from having a father in my profession. The kind that means she can never have a normal life, normal friends, normal experiences. His expression was pained. She's a target because she's mine. Which is why she has security. Why I can't let her run off to coffee shops and talk to strangers, even kind ones. That's no way for a child to live. No. But it's the way that keeps her alive. He pushed the document toward me. Sign. Then you can go back to your boring, safe life and forget you ever met us. I looked at the NDA, at this dangerous man who was clearly a devoted father, at the door through which his daughter had disappeared. Then I did something that surprised both of us. No. Excuse me? I won't sign. Not unless you let me see Bella again. Let me be someone normal in her life. A teacher, a friend, someone who doesn't work for you or fear you. I met his dark eyes. She needs that. You know she does. His expression was unreadable. You're blackmailing me, using my daughter to negotiate with a mob boss. That's bold. That's caring about a child who clearly needs more normal interactions in her life. I'm a teacher. It's what I do. I crossed my arms. Let me help her. Let me be someone she can talk to, someone safe. In exchange, I'll sign your NDA and keep your secrets. And what makes you think I'd trust a stranger with my daughter? Because you've already had me investigated. Because you know I'm not a threat. And because deep down you know I'm right. Bella needs more than security and isolation. She needs normal. I leaned forward. Let me give her that. A few hours a week, supervised if you want. Just someone who sees her as a kid, not a target. He was quiet for a long time, studying me with an intensity that made me want to squirm. Then, impossibly, he smiled slightly. You're either very brave or very stupid. I haven't decided which. He pulled back the NDA. But you're right. Bella needs more normal in her life. And you might be exactly what she needs. Or you might be a disaster waiting to happen. He stood. We'll try it. You spend time with Bella, supervised, scheduled, and controlled environments. In exchange, you sign this and keep everything about my family confidential. Deal. I took the pen he offered and signed before he could change his mind. Welcome to the most complicated decision you've ever made. Miss Hayes, I hope for both our sakes you don't regret it. The arrangement started simply enough. Twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, I'd come to Dante's home, because of course his name was Dante. And of course he had a brownstone in Brooklyn that probably cost more than I'd make in a lifetime, to spend time with Bella. Just be yourself, he'd told me that first day. Teach her, talk to her, help her feel like a normal kid, but understand, Marco will be present at all times. You'll be watched, and if I sense any threat to my daughter, this arrangement ends immediately. I'd agreed, signed more paperwork than seemed necessary, and been given a security clearance that felt absurd for someone who was essentially just spending time with a 7-year-old. That first Tuesday, Bella greeted me at the door with barely contained excitement. Miss Naomi, you came. Papa said you might not, that you might be scared, but you came. She grabbed my hand, pulling me inside. I have so many books to show you, and questions. I have so many questions about everything. The brownstone was beautiful, expensive but warm, clearly a home rather than just a showcase. Photos of Bella at various ages lined the hallway. Art on the walls suggested someone had good taste and money to indulge it. Marco, the ever-present security, gestured to a sitting room. Mr. Russo said to use this space. I'll be right outside. For the next 2 hours. Bella and I talked about everything. Her mythology book, school. She was homeschooled by tutors, which explained a lot. Her favorite foods. Her dreams of having a normal sleepover someday. She was brilliant, curious, and desperately lonely despite the tutors and security team that surrounded her. Do you have friends? I asked gently. Not really. Papa says it's too dangerous. Kids might tell their parents about me, and their parents might tell other people, and then bad people might try to hurt me to hurt Papa. She said it matter-of-factly, like she'd accepted this reality. So I just have my tutors and Marco and Papa. That sounds lonely. It is. But Papa says it's necessary, that keeping me safe is more important than keeping me happy. She looked up at me with those 2 serious eyes. Do you think that's true? That safety is more important than happiness? I think both are important. And I think there might be ways to be safe and still have some happiness. Some normal experiences. I squeezed her hand. That's what I'm here for. To give you a little bit of normal. When Dante came home that evening, I was preparing to leave, but Bella had begged me to stay. Just 5 more minutes. He found us laughing over a story about my chaotic classroom and the time a student accidentally released the class. Hamster during a fire drill? She's so funny, Papa. Bella was still giggling. Can she stay for dinner, please? Dante looked between us, his expression unreadable. Miss Hayes probably has plans. I don't actually. Unless leftover Chinese food alone in my apartment counts as plans. I smiled at Bella. But I don't want to intrude on your family time. You're not intruding. He paused, seeming to search for words. You're giving my daughter something I can't. That's worth a dinner invitation. Dinner was surprisingly normal. Dante's housekeeper, Maria, had made pasta that was better than anything I'd ever had in a restaurant. Bella chattered throughout the meal, telling her father about everything we'd discussed, showing him the drawings we'd made together. She's good at art, Papa. Really good. She helped me draw Athena and her owl, and it actually looks like an owl instead of a potato. That's wonderful, Piccola. He glanced at me. Thank you. She hasn't been this animated in a long time. She's a great kid. Brilliant, curious, creative. She just needs opportunities to express all of that. I watched Bella, who was now showing Maria her drawings. Mr. Russo, Dante. If you're having dinner with my family, you should use my name. Dante. Has Bella ever been to a museum? Seen art in person rather than just in books. It's too public. Too many people. Too many variables I can't control. But he looked conflicted, like he knew he was denying his daughter experiences she needed. What about a private tour? Museums do them for donors, don't they? You could arrange something controlled, safe, but let her see actual Greek pottery, actual sculpture, actual art. I leaned forward. She's reading about these myths, drawing these gods. Imagine what it would mean to see them in person. You're very persistent about giving my daughter experiences I've deemed too dangerous. I'm very committed to helping a child have a childhood, even in unusual circumstances. I met his dark eyes. That's what you hired me for, isn't it? To help her feel normal? He was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. I'll arrange something. A private tour at the Met, early morning before the museum opens. You'll come with us? Of course. The museum trip happened 2 weeks later, arranged with the kind of efficiency only massive donations could buy. We arrived before dawn. Just us, Bella, Dante, Marco, and 2 other security personnel. The museum was empty, echoing, magical in its silence. Bella's face when she saw the Greek and Roman galleries was pure wonder. She moved from piece to piece, reading every placard, asking questions that impressed even the curator who'd been brought in to guide us. She's remarkable, the curator said to Dante. Her knowledge base for her age is extraordinary. Does she study art history? She studies everything. Too much time alone with books and not enough time experiencing the world those books describe. Dante watched his daughter examine a statue of Athena with reverent attention. We're trying to change that. I caught his eye and smiled. He smiled back. Small, genuine, transforming his face from dangerous to almost warm. After the museum, Bella begged for breakfast at a diner. Please, Papa, like normal people do after museum trips. Dante looked like he wanted to refuse, but Bella's pleading expression won out. We found a small diner that could accommodate the security team, and I watched this powerful, dangerous man order pancakes for his daughter and coffee for himself like it was the most normal thing in the world. Thank you, he said quietly, while Bella was distracted by the jukebox. For pushing me to do this. She needed it. She needed you to do it. I just gave you the excuse. I sipped my coffee. You're a good father, Dante, even if your world makes it complicated. My world makes everything complicated, including this. He gestured between us. You spending time with Bella, becoming important to her. That's complicated. Because I'm an outsider? Because she's getting attached. And if something happens to you, if you decide this is too much and leave, she'll be hurt. His dark eyes were intense. I can handle my enemies hurting me. I can't handle them hurting her. And you're starting to become someone who could hurt her just by leaving. I'm not leaving. I signed your NDA. I committed to this. I held his gaze. I'm not scared of your world, Dante. I'm careful, but I'm not scared. Maybe you should be. The weeks turned into months. Twice a week became 3 times, then 4. I started having dinner with them regularly, helping Bella with school projects, even teaching her some basic cooking with Maria's supervision. I became part of their routine, part of their family in a way I hadn't anticipated, and somewhere in there, I started noticing Dante differently. Not just as Bella's father or the dangerous mob boss, but as a man. The way he listened when Bella talked, the way he'd leave business calls to read her a bedtime story, the way he looked at me sometimes when he thought I wasn't paying attention, like he was trying to figure out if I was real or too good to be true. You like him? Maria said one evening while we were cleaning up after dinner. Bella and Dante were in the living room playing chess. Mr. Russo, you like him as more than just Bella's father. I respect him. He's a good father in difficult circumstances. You like him. She smiled knowingly. And he likes you. I've worked for this family for 5 years. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. That's ridiculous. I'm just here for Bella. That's the arrangement. Arrangements change. Feelings develop. Just be careful. Mr. Russo's world is dangerous for the people he cares about. If he cares about you... She trailed off meaningfully. I thought about her words that night as I headed home. Marco escorting me to my car as always. Dante's insistence on my safety had extended beyond his home. Did I like him? More importantly, did it matter if I did? The answer came a week later when everything went wrong. I arrived for our usual Thursday afternoon to find the brownstone in chaos. Security everywhere. Dante on the phone speaking rapid Italian, his face grim. Maria met me at the door. Miss Naomi, maybe you should come back another day. There's been an incident. Where's Bella? My stomach dropped. Is she okay? She's fine, she's upstairs. But Mr. Russo is dealing with a situation and I pushed past her, taking the stairs 2 at a time to Bella's room. I found her curled on her bed, crying silently, trying to be brave. Bella, sweetheart. What happened? There were men at my piano lesson. They had guns. Marco stopped them, but... She threw herself into my arms, finally letting go of the fear she'd been holding. I was so scared, Miss Naomi. I thought they were going to hurt me. I held her, murmuring reassurances, my own fear mixing with fury. This was exactly what Dante had been trying to prevent. Why Bella lived such an isolated life. And still the danger had found her. Dante appeared in the doorway, his expression savage. Then he saw us, Bella in my arms, both of us holding each other, and something in his face cracked. Piccola, are you hurt? No, Papa, Marco protected me, but I was scared. She reached for him, and he crossed the room in 2 strides, pulling both of us into his embrace. We stayed like that for a long moment, this complicated family unit holding each other through the aftermath of violence. I need to speak with Miss Naomi, Dante said eventually. Alone. Can you stay with Maria for a few minutes? After Bella left reluctantly, Dante paced the room like a caged predator. This is my fault. I let my guard down. Let Bella have experiences outside this house, let her have you. This isn't about me. It's exactly about you. He turned to face me, anger and fear warring in his expression. My enemies saw that Bella has someone new in her life, someone I trust with her. They tried to use that, tried to take her during a lesson you'd suggested she have. And his voice broke. I almost lost her because I was trying to give her the normal life you kept pushing for. You didn't lose her. Marco did his job. She's safe. I moved closer to him. Dante, you can't keep her locked away forever because you're afraid. That's not living. That's just surviving. Surviving is enough if it keeps her alive. He gripped my shoulders. Don't you understand? Everyone I care about becomes a target. Everyone I let close to her becomes a weapon my enemies can use. I should never have agreed to this arrangement. Should never have let you into our lives. But you did. And Bella's happier for it. She's learned, grown, become more than just a scared kid in a gilded cage. I cupped his face, forcing him to look at me. Yes, today was terrifying. Yes, there's danger. But Dante, she needs more than survival. She needs to live. And what about you? Are you ready to accept that being in our lives means being in danger? That my enemies will target you too if they realize you matter to me? His hands moved to my waist, pulling me closer. Because Naomi, you matter. To Bella, yes. But also to me. And that makes you vulnerable. Then protect me the way you protect her. But don't push me away because you're scared. I was barely breathing, aware of how close we were, how this felt like something shifting between us. I'm not leaving. Not Bella, not you. You should. You should run far away from us and never look back. But his forehead was resting against mine, his breath warm on my face. But God, I don't want you to. Then I won't. I closed the final distance between us, kissing him. He kissed me back desperately, weeks of tension and denied attraction finally breaking free. His hands tightened on my waist, pulling me flush against him, and I felt the barely leashed control that always surrounded him crack just slightly. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he kept his arms around me. "This is a terrible idea," he murmured. "Probably the worst." I kissed him again, softer. "But I'm committed to it anyway. Naomi, Miss Naomi?" Bella's voice from the hallway. "Can I come back in?" We separated quickly, Dante running a hand through his hair while I tried to calm my racing heart. "Come in. Piccola." Bella entered, looking between us with a knowing expression that was far too perceptive for a 7-year-old. "Were you kissing?" "Bella," Dante started. "Because if you were, that's okay. I like Miss Naomi. I want her to stay." She came to stand between us. "Can she stay, Papa, please?" Dante looked at me, conflict clear in his expression. Then he pulled both of us close. "Yes, she's staying. If she still wants to after everything that happened today." "I want to," I said firmly. "I'm staying." After the attack attempt, everything changed. Dante insisted I move into the brownstone, just temporarily, until we're sure you're not a target. But we both knew temporary was becoming permanent. My small queen's apartment stayed empty while I settled into a guest room down the hall from Bella. "This is weird, right?" I said to Maria one morning while helping with breakfast. 3 months ago I was a stranger. Now I'm living with them, dating her father. "Now you're family," Maria corrected. "Mr. Russo doesn't let just anyone into his home, into his life. That he's done so with you means something." Family. The word felt too big, too fast. But watching Dante and Bella argue playfully about whether pancakes or waffles were superior, I couldn't deny it felt like exactly what I'd been missing. "Miss Naomi agrees with me," Bella announced. "Right? Pancakes are better?" "I'm staying neutral. I like both." I poured coffee for Dante, who caught my hand and squeezed it in thanks. Small gestures like that had become common. Touches, smiles, moments of connection that felt both natural and terrifying. My school was understanding about my sudden need for family leave. Dante had made a generous donation to their building fund, which probably helped. But I couldn't hide forever, and after 2 weeks I insisted on returning to work. "Absolutely not," Dante said immediately. "It's not safe. My enemies know about you now. Your enemies know I exist. They don't know where I work, and I have a career, Dante. Students who need me. I can't just abandon my life because of fear. You can if it keeps you alive." We argued about it for 2 days before reaching a compromise. I could return to work with security. Marco would drive me, another guard would stay outside my classroom, and Dante would have eyes on the school at all times. "This is insane," I told Marco on my first day back. "I'm an elementary school teacher with a bodyguard. My students are going to have so many questions." "Tell them I'm your driver. Rich boyfriend treating you well." He smiled slightly. "Kids love that kind of thing." He was right. My students were fascinated by the driver who waited outside, and my colleagues made assumptions about my romantic life that weren't entirely wrong. I let them believe I was dating someone wealthy, just not that he was a mob boss. 3 weeks into our new routine, things finally felt stable. I taught during the day, came home to dinner with Dante and Bella, spent evenings helping with homework or just talking. We were building something, a family, a relationship, a life that balanced my normal world with Dante's dangerous one. Then Bella's birthday approached, and everything got complicated again. "I want a party," she announced at dinner. A real party with kids my age, like in the books. Games and cake and friends. Dante's expression closed off immediately. "Bella, you know that's not possible." "But why? Other kids get birthday parties. Why can't I?" Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm 8 years old. I've never had a single friend over. Never had a sleepover or a party or anything normal kids do. Because normal kids don't have fathers like me. Normal kids aren't targets." Dante's voice was gentle but firm. "I know it's not fair, but your safety is more important than a party." Bella ran from the table crying, and I watched Dante's face crumble. "Don't," he said before I could speak. "Don't tell me I'm wrong. Don't tell me she needs this. I know she does, but I can't risk her for a birthday party." "What if we made it safe? Small guest list, all vetted. All in this house where you control every variable." I moved closer to him. "Dante, she's right. She's 8 years old and has never had a friend. That's not just unfair. It's heartbreaking. You think I don't know that? You think I don't hate myself for the childhood I'm giving her?" He stood abruptly. "But I'd rather have a lonely, alive daughter than risk her for something as trivial as a party." "It's not trivial to her. And it doesn't have to be risky if we're smart about it." I followed him to his study. "Let me help plan it. We'll make it the safest birthday party in history. But please, give her this. Let her have one normal experience." He was quiet for a long time, staring out the window at the security-patrolled street. "If I agree to this, if I let her have this party, you understand that you're taking on enormous responsibility? Those kids, their parents, they'll be my guests, under my protection. If anything goes wrong, nothing will go wrong. We'll plan it carefully, vet every guest, have security everywhere they can't see. It'll be safe and normal and everything she's dreamed of." "You're impossible," he said, but there was warmth in his voice. "Fine, a party, small, controlled, and if I sense any threat, it ends immediately." "Thank you." I kissed him softly. "You're a good father, even when it's hard." I'm a father in an impossible situation trying not to fail my daughter completely. There's a difference. Planning Bella's party became my obsession. I reached out to parents of students in my class, carefully vetted by Dante's people, inviting 6 girls around Bella's age. Their parents were given strict instructions about timing, location, what to bring. They probably thought I was overprotective, but they agreed. Bella was ecstatic. She helped plan games, choose a cake design, pick decorations. I'd never seen her so animated, so purely happy. "This is the best gift, Miss Naomi," she said while we addressed invitations. "Even better than any present. Thank you for convincing Papa. Your Papa just needed to be reminded that you're worth the risk. Every parent struggles with balancing safety and freedom. Yours just has higher stakes than most." The party day arrived with military precision. Security swept the house twice. Marco briefed the team, and Dante looked like he might have a panic attack before the first guest arrived. "She'll be fine," I told him, straightening his collar. He'd insisted on being present despite Bella's protests that dads weren't usually at 8-year-old birthday parties. "The girls will have fun. Bella will have her first normal party and nothing bad will happen." "You can't promise that." "I can promise we've done everything possible to ensure it. The rest we have to trust," I kissed him. "Trust that sometimes risk is worth it." The party was magical. 6 little girls playing games, eating cake, laughing at jokes only 8-year-olds found funny. Bella glowed with happiness, finally getting to experience what other children took for granted. I noticed Dante watching from the doorway, his expression soft despite the tension in his shoulders. When Bella blew out her candles and made a wish, I saw something break in him, the realization that he'd been denying his daughter these moments out of fear, and that she deserved them despite the risk. After the party, after the guests left and Bella was tucked in bed, still buzzing with excitement, Dante found me in the kitchen. "Thank you," he said simply, "for pushing me, for making that happen. She's never been that happy. She deserves happiness. So do you." I wrapped my arms around his waist. "I know it's scary, letting her experience normal things. But Dante, she's going to have a life beyond your protection eventually. Better she learns how to navigate it now, safely, than be thrown into it unprepared later." "When did you become so wise about parenting?" "I've been a teacher for 6 years. I've seen a lot of kids, a lot of different family situations. Yours is unique, but the basic rules still apply. Children need both safety and freedom to thrive." He pulled me closer, resting his forehead against mine. "I love you. I don't think I've said that yet, but I do. You've given me and Bella something we didn't know we were missing." "I love you too. Both of you." I kissed him softly, "Even though your world terrifies me sometimes. Even though dating a mob boss wasn't exactly in my life plan. Any regrets? Not one." That night, after Dante went to bed, I sat in Bella's room watching her sleep. She looked peaceful, happy, finally secure in the knowledge that she could have normal experiences. I'd helped give her that. We'd helped give her that together. "Thank you for staying," Dante said from the doorway. I hadn't heard him approach. "When you found out who I was, what my life entailed, you could have run. Most people would have. I'm not most people, and Bella needed someone to fight for her normal life. You needed someone to remind you that she's a child first, a mob boss's daughter second. I stood, going to him. I stayed because leaving would have meant abandoning both of you. I couldn't do that, even knowing the danger, even knowing my enemies will always see you as a target, even knowing all of that. Because Dante, what we have, this family we're building, that's worth the risk. I took his hand. Besides, I have an overprotective mob boss watching my back. I'm probably the safest teacher in New York. He laughed quietly, pulling me out of Bella's room and into his. Stay with me tonight. Not in the guest room. Here. Bella might notice. Bella asked me yesterday when you were moving into my room permanently. She's more observant than we give her credit for. He closed the door behind us. Stay. Let's stop pretending this is temporary. I did stay. And in the morning, when Bella found us having coffee together in Dante's room, she just smiled and climbed into my lap like it was the most natural thing in the world. Does this mean Miss Naomi is staying forever? She asked her father. If she'll have us, yes. Forever. Dante met my eyes over her head. Forever sounds perfect, I agreed. 2 months later, I officially moved out of my Queens apartment and into the brownstone permanently. My colleagues assumed I'd gotten engaged to my wealthy boyfriend. My friends were happy I'd found someone, even if I couldn't tell them everything about him. Only Maria knew the full truth, and she was delighted. I told you, she said while helping me unpack. I said you were family from the start. Now it's official. Official would be a ring, I pointed out. Give Mr. Russo time. He's learning to balance his world with normal relationship things. A proposal will come when he's ready. She was right. 3 months after I moved in, Dante proposed in the most understated way possible. At dinner, with Bella present, just the 3 of us. I want you to be my wife, he said simply, pulling out a ring box. I want Bella to have you as her mother, officially. I want to build this family with you permanently. Will you marry me? Yes, obviously yes. I was crying, laughing, overwhelmed. But Dante, I can't officially adopt Bella without her input. Sweetheart, would you be okay with that? Me becoming your mom? Bella launched herself at me. I've wanted that since you pretended to be my aunt in the coffee shop. Yes, yes, yes. So I became engaged to a mob boss and soon-to-be stepmother to his 8-year-old daughter. My life had become something I never could have imagined that day in the coffee shop, when a scared little girl asked if she could sit at my table. No regrets? Dante asked that night after Bella was asleep. Not one, though I reserve the right to panic occasionally about marrying into organized crime. Fair. I occasionally panic about bringing someone good and pure into my dark world. He pulled me close, but then I remember how much better both our lives are with you in them, and the panic fades. We're good for each other. You ground me. I remind you there's more to life than danger and control. Bella gets both of us instead of just one overwhelmed parent. I kissed him. This family works, despite all the reasons it shouldn't. It works because of you. Because you saw a scared kid and decided to help instead of walking away. Because you're brave enough to love us despite the complications. His dark eyes were intense. I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret that choice. Just love me and Bella. That's all I need. The rest we'll figure out together. The wedding was small, just family and close friends, which in Dante's world meant about 50 people I didn't know, but who all seemed to respect him deeply. Maria cried through the entire ceremony. Marco, surprisingly, gave a touching toast about how I'd changed Dante and Bella's lives. But the best moment was Bella in her flower girl dress, beaming as she watched us exchange vows. Do you, Dante Russo, take Naomi Hayes to be your wife? I do. And do you, Naomi Hayes, take Dante Russo to be your husband? I looked at this dangerous, complicated man who'd somehow become my everything, and said without hesitation, I do. When the officiant pronounced us married, Bella cheered loudly enough to make everyone laugh. At the reception, she pulled me aside. So I can call you Mom now? Officially? If you want to. I'd be honored. I knelt to her level. Bella, I know I'm not your birth mother, but I love you like you're mine. I'll always be here for you. Always fight for your happiness. Always... She hugged me tightly. You're my mom, the only one I've ever known, and you're the best one I could have asked for. I cried then, holding this little girl who'd changed my entire life by sitting at my coffee shop table and asking if she could stay. Married life settled into a comfortable rhythm. I continued teaching. Dante continued running his organization, though he made efforts to keep the darker aspects away from home. Bella thrived with 2 parents who adored her, finally having something resembling a normal family life. "This is weird," I told Dante one evening after Bella was asleep. "I'm a mob wife. That's my actual life now." Having second thoughts? Not at all. Just marveling at how far I've come from being an elementary school teacher with a boring, safe life. I curled into his side, though I'm still an elementary school teacher. Just one married to organized crime. You make it sound so scandalous. It is scandalous. I have a secret life. My colleagues think you're a real estate developer. My students think you're a businessman. Only a handful of people know the truth. I looked up at him. Does that ever bother you? That I can't fully acknowledge what you are? I'd rather you be safe and ignorant than involved and targeted. The less people know about our connection, the better for you. He kissed my forehead. Besides, being acknowledged isn't as important as being loved. And you love me despite knowing exactly what I am. I do, even the parts that scare me. 6 months into our marriage, I found out I was pregnant. The news sent me into a panic. How could I bring a child into this world, into this danger? Dante surprisingly was calm. We'll protect them, same as we protect Bella, same as we protect you. His hand rested on my still flat stomach. This baby will be loved and safe. I promise you that. But Dante, another child means another target for your enemies. Another person who has to live with security and restrictions. Another person who will have parents who love them, a sister who will adore them, and a family that will do anything to keep them safe. He pulled me close. Yes, there's danger. There always will be, but there's also love and happiness, and a life worth living. We can give them that. Telling Bella was nerve-wracking, but her reaction was pure joy. A baby? I'm going to be a big sister? She threw her arms around us both. This is the best news ever. Can I help pick names? Can I teach them things? Yes to everything, I laughed. But first we have to wait for the baby to be born. That's still 7 months away. That's so long. But I'll wait. I'll be the best big sister. She looked up at Dante. Papa, we need to make the baby's room perfect. Can we paint it? Can we get books? We'll do everything properly, Piccola. Don't worry. He smiled at her enthusiasm, then met my eyes. See, she's not scared. She's excited. We can do this, he was right. The pregnancy brought joy rather than fear. Bella helped decorate the nursery. Maria clucked over me like a worried hen, and Dante became even more protective than usual, which I hadn't thought possible. I'm pregnant. Not fragile, I protested when he insisted I stop carrying even light objects. You're carrying my child. That makes you precious cargo. He guided me to sit. Let me take care of you. It's what I do. You take care of everyone. When do you let someone take care of you? I have you for that. You take care of me in ways that matter, reminding me to slow down, to appreciate what we have, to be present for my family instead of consumed by business. He sat beside me. Before you, I was just surviving, going through motions. Now I'm living. That's because of you. The baby, a boy we named Leo, arrived on a snowy February morning. Dante held him with the same gentle reverence he'd shown with Bella, this dangerous man made soft by tiny fingers gripping his. He's perfect, Bella breathed, staring at her brother with awe. Look at his tiny nose and his little hands. Can I hold him? I watched my family, Dante, Bella, and now Leo, and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. This life I'd stumbled into, this complicated, dangerous, beautiful life, was more than I'd ever dreamed of having. Thank you, I told Dante that night after everyone else had gone home. For what? For answering when I said yes to coffee with Bella that day. For letting me into your life despite all the reasons you shouldn't have. For giving me this family. I gestured to Leo sleeping in his bassinet. For all of it, I should be thanking you. You took a chance on us, on Bella, on me, on this life. You could have walked away 100 times. But you stayed. You fought for us, for our happiness, even when it was dangerous. He kissed me softly. You're the bravest person I know, Naomi. And I love you more than I can express. Leo's first year passed in a blur of sleepless nights and precious moments. Bella was an amazing big sister, always wanting to help, to hold him, to teach him things. Dante was a devoted father, somehow balancing his dangerous work with being present for our family. How do you do it? I asked him one evening. Balance everything. Your organization, your family, the danger, the normalcy. It should be impossible. It's only possible because of you. You're the center that keeps everything balanced. Without you, it all falls apart. He pulled me into his arms. You're my anchor, Naomi. The thing that keeps me human instead of becoming a monster. You're not a monster. You're just a man in a difficult situation trying to do right by his family. A man who's killed people, who's ordered violence, who runs a criminal organization. His expression was pained. How do you reconcile that with the man you married? Because I see all of you. The dangerous parts, yes, but also the father who reads bedtime stories, the husband who brings me coffee every morning, the man who cries when he holds his son. I cupped his face. You're complicated, Dante, but you're not evil. There's a difference. When Leo was 2 and Bella was 10, we faced our biggest crisis. Someone from Dante's past, a rival he'd thought was handled, resurfaced with revenge on their mind. The threat was credible, immediate, and targeted directly at our family. You need to take the children and leave, Dante said, his voice leaving no room for argument. Go somewhere safe until this is resolved. I'm not leaving you. Naomi, this isn't negotiable. My enemies know about you, about the kids. They'll use you to get to me. I need you somewhere they can't reach. His hands gripped my shoulders. Please, let me keep you safe. And who keeps you safe? I met his eyes. We're a family, Dante. We face threats together. Not this one. Not when it could cost me everything I love. He pulled me close. I'll handle it. I always handle it. But I can't do that if I'm worried about you and the children being used against me. How long? A week, maybe 2. Just until the threat is neutralized. He kissed me desperately. I love you. I'll come back to you. I promise. Maria took us to a safe house in upstate New York. A beautiful property that felt more like a prison given the circumstances. Bella understood enough to be scared. Leo was too young to understand why Papa wasn't there. When is Daddy coming back? He asked every day. Soon, baby. Soon. The days dragged. Dante called when he could, but the calls were brief, his voice tight with stress. I could tell things weren't going well, could hear the danger in what he wasn't saying. Be safe, I told him every time. Come back to us. Always. On the 10th day, Marco appeared at the safe house with news. It was over. The threat had been eliminated. We could go home? What about Dante? I demanded. He's fine, waiting for you at the house. Marco's expression was carefully neutral. But Mrs. Russo, you should know. He's not in good shape. Physically he's fine, but this took a toll. I understood when I saw him. Dante was standing in our living room, looking out the window, and he seemed diminished somehow, like the cost of keeping us safe had taken something essential from him. Dante. I crossed the room, pulling him into my arms. We're home. We're safe. It's over. It's never over. There's always another threat, another enemy, another reason to fear for you. His voice was hollow. Maybe you were right to be scared of my world. Maybe I was selfish to bring you into it. Stop. You didn't bring me into anything. I chose this. Chose you, and I'd choose you again. I made him look at me. Yes, it's scary. Yes, there's danger. But Dante, we have something beautiful despite that. A family, a life, love. Don't let fear destroy what we've built. What if next time I can't protect you? What if my enemies hurt you or the children to get to me? Then we deal with it together. But we don't live in fear of what ifs. We live in the present, appreciating what we have. I kissed him softly. I knew what I was signing up for. I'm not going anywhere. Bella ran in then, throwing herself at Dante. Papa, you're okay. I was so worried. Leo toddled after her. Daddy. Watching Dante hold our children, seeing the fear leave his eyes as he remembered what he was fighting for, I knew we'd be okay. This life was complicated and dangerous and sometimes terrifying, but it was ours, and that made it worth everything. The years passed with surprising normalcy considering our circumstances. Bella grew into a thoughtful teenager who wanted to study art history. No surprise given her childhood fascination with mythology. Leo grew into a rambunctious 6-year-old who adored his father and drove his sister crazy with typical little brother behavior. And I continued teaching, though I'd moved to a private school with better security. Dante's insistence and generous donation made that possible. My students never knew their sweet Miss Russo was married to one of the most powerful men in organized crime. "Do you ever miss your old life?" Dante asked one evening. We were alone, rare these days with 2 kids, sitting on our back patio while Bella did homework, and Leo played video games under Maria's watchful eye. My old life was lonely, boring, safe. Yes, but empty. I leaned against him. This life is complicated and sometimes terrifying. But it's full. I have you, the kids, a family I never thought I'd have. I don't miss the before, even when my world intrudes, when there's danger or violence or even then. Because Dante, you've never let that world touch us more than necessary. You've kept us as separate as possible from the darkness. That's all I can ask for. He was quiet for a moment. Bella asked me about my business yesterday. She's 16 now, smart enough to understand what I really do. I think she's known for a while but never asked directly. What did you tell her? The truth. That I run an organization that operates outside the law. That it's dangerous, sometimes violent, not something I'm proud of, but something I'm committed to. That it's kept our family safe and provided the life she's had. He sighed. She took it better than I expected. Said she'd figured it out years ago, that it didn't change how she felt about me. She loves you. Kids don't judge their parents the way adults do. They just see the person who loves them, who's always been there. I squeezed his hand. You've been a good father despite, or maybe because of, your world. She knows that. What about when Leo's old enough to understand? He's 6 now, starting to ask questions about why we have security, why some kids' fathers have normal jobs. We'll tell him the truth too, age appropriately, but honestly, he deserves to understand his family, just like Bella did. I turned to look at Dante. They're good kids. They'll handle it. A week later, everything changed again. Dante came home early, unusual in itself, and called a family meeting. Bella, Leo, and I gathered in the living room, sensing something significant was coming. I've made a decision about my business, Dante began, looking at each of us. I'm stepping back, retiring from active leadership. My second-in-command will take over operations while I transition to an advisory role. Silence. Then Bella asked, why now? Because Leo's 6. In another 6 years, he'll be 12, then 16, then an adult. I've missed too much of Bella's childhood because of business. I don't want to miss his too. Dante's gaze settled on me. And because your mother has sacrificed enough, lived with enough fear and danger, it's time I prioritized family over power. What does this mean practically? I asked, trying to process this. It means I'll work from home more, be present for school events, dinners, weekends, still be involved in the organization. I can't completely walk away, that would be dangerous, but not running day-to-day operations. He reached for my hand. It means putting you 3 first, the way I should have from the beginning. Papa, you've always put us first, Bella said firmly. Everything you've done has been to keep us safe, to give us a good life. We know that. Yeah, you're the best dad, Leo added, not fully understanding but wanting to support his father. You're both kind, but the truth is, I've been balancing on a knife's edge, trying to be a good father while running an organization that requires brutality and distance. I'm tired of the balance. I want to just be your father, your husband. He looked at me. If you'll support this decision. Are you kidding? I've wanted this for years. I just never thought it was possible. I pulled him close. Yes, I support it. Completely. The transition took 6 months. Dante handed over control carefully, making sure his successor was strong enough to maintain order, but loyal enough not to turn on him. It was delicate, dangerous work, stepping down from power while maintaining enough influence to protect his family. This is the hardest thing I've ever done, he admitted one night. Giving up control, trusting someone else with something I built. But every time I see Leo's face when I pick him up from school, or Bella and I have dinner without me rushing off to handle a crisis, I know it's worth it. You're not giving up control. You're choosing what to control, and you're choosing us. I kissed him. That's not weakness. That's strength. By the time Leo turned 7, Dante was fully transitioned to his advisory role. He still had involvement. People still sought his counsel, respected his authority. But the day-to-day violence and danger were handled by others. He was home for dinner every night, made it to all of Leo's soccer games, helped Bella with college applications. "This is weird," Bella said one evening at dinner. "Having you here all the time. I mean, I love it, but it's different." "Good different or bad different?" Dante asked. "Good different." "Really good," she smiled. "My friends are jealous. Their dads are never around, always working. But you're at everything now." "That's the point. I missed too much of your childhood. I'm not missing anymore." Watching him with our children, fully present, engaged, actually there instead of physically present but mentally elsewhere, I fell in love with him all over again. This was the man I'd always known was underneath the mob boss exterior. The devoted father, the loving husband, the person who cared more about family than power. "Thank you," I told him that night, "for choosing us, for stepping back from something you spent years building. I didn't build that organization for power. I built it for security, for protection, for a way to provide for family." He pulled me close. "Now I have you, Bella, Leo. That's all the security I need. Everything else was just a means to this end." "You're going soft in your old age," I teased. "I'm 42. That's hardly old." He kissed me. "But yes, I'm softer. You and the kids did that. Made me remember there's more to life than power and fear." When Bella graduated high school and left for college, art history at Columbia, close enough to visit regularly but far enough to feel independent, Dante struggled. "She's grown up." "When did that happen?" He was looking at photos from her graduation, his expression nostalgic. "Gradually, while you were busy protecting her." I sat beside him. "But Dante, you did it. You kept her safe, gave her a childhood despite the circumstances, and now she's launching into her own life. That's what parenting is supposed to do, prepare them to leave." "I know. Doesn't make it easier." He set down the photos. "At least we have Leo for 6 more years before we're empty nesters. And then it'll just be us." The way it started, me, you, and that coffee shop where a little girl sat down and changed everything. Best decision she ever made. He kissed me. Second best was telling you about it so you became part of our lives. Leo's elementary school years passed too quickly. Suddenly he was 12, then 13, then asking questions about his father's past that required careful, honest answers. "So you were a mob boss?" Leo asked one evening. We'd decided it was time to tell him everything. He was old enough to understand, old enough to handle the truth. "Yes. I ran an organization that operated outside the law. I did things I'm not proud of to keep power and protect our family." Dante was honest, unflinching. "I'm not that person anymore. I've stepped back, changed my life. But that past exists, and you deserve to know about it." "Did you hurt people?" "Yes." "Kill people?" "Yes." Dante didn't elaborate, but he didn't deny it either. "Leo, I won't lie to you. My past is dark. I did terrible things, but everything I did believing it was necessary to protect the people I loved. I'm not asking you to condone it, just to understand it." Leo was quiet for a long time. "Then are we safe? Mom, Bella, me?" "Completely. My stepping back ensured that. My past doesn't threaten your future." Dante's voice was firm. "You're safe, son. I promise you that." "Okay." Leo nodded slowly. "I mean, it's weird knowing my dad used to be a criminal. But you're still my dad. You're still the person who taught me to ride a bike and helps with homework and comes to my soccer games. That matters more than whatever you did before I was born." I watched Dante's face crumble with relief and love for his son. "Thank you for understanding. For not judging? I'm 13. I'm not supposed to judge my parents. That comes later in teenage years, right, Mom?" Leo grinned at me. "Exactly right." I laughed, grateful he could find humor in such a heavy conversation. That night, after Leo was asleep, Dante held me close. I was terrified he'd hate me, that knowing the truth would change how he saw me. His voice was raw with emotion. "But he still loves me, still accepts me. Because you're a good father. That's what matters to him. Not what you were, but who you are." I kissed him. "You're a good man, Dante. Maybe you weren't always, but you are now. Our kids know that. Because of you. You made me want to be better, made me believe I could be more than just a criminal. He pulled me closer. Everything good in my life came from that day Bella sat at your table. Before that, I was just existing. After that, I started living. We both did. I thought back to that day. The scared little girl asking if she could stay. My impulsive decision to let her. Best snap decision I ever made. Best daughter I ever raised to be brave enough to approach strangers. He smiled. Though I still have mild heart attacks remembering that day. Finding out she'd been talking to a stranger, that I almost lost her because she wanted to feel normal. But you didn't lose her, and that stranger became family. I looked at our life, the home we'd built, the children we'd raised, the love we'd found in the most unexpected circumstances. We built something beautiful, Dante. Despite the complications, despite the danger, despite all the reasons it shouldn't have worked. We made it work, we did, and I'd do it all again. The fear, the danger, the hard choices, if it meant ending up here, with you and our family. Me too. Even knowing everything I know now, I'd still let that little girl sit at my table. I'd still lie to your security. I'd still choose this life. I kissed him deeply, because this life includes you, and you're worth every complication. 20 years after that fateful day in the coffee shop, I stood in our backyard watching Bella, now 27 and working as a museum curator, help her 5-year-old daughter Sophia plant flowers. Leo, 19 and in college, was tossing a football with Dante, both of them laughing at something. You look contemplative, Maria said, appearing beside me with lemonade. She was 70 now, officially retired but still coming by regularly because someone needs to make sure this family eats properly. Just thinking about how far we've come. How different my life is from what I imagined. I sipped the lemonade. 20 years ago, I was a lonely teacher with a boring life. Now I'm a wife, mother, grandmother, part of a family I never dreamed I'd have. You saved this family, you know. Before you, Mr. Russo was hard, closed off. Bella was isolated and scared. They were surviving, not living. Maria smiled. You taught them how to live, how to find joy despite the danger. That's no small thing. Dante caught my eye across the yard and smiled. That soft, genuine smile he reserved for family. He said something to Leo, then walked over to me. What are you two conspiring about? Just reminiscing, I said, leaning into him. Thinking about that day 20 years ago when your daughter sat at my table. Best day of my life. Well, second best. The day you agreed to marry me was the actual best. He kissed my temple. But that coffee shop day was what made everything else possible. Do you ever regret it? Stepping back from power, choosing family over the organization? Not once. The organization gave me security and wealth, but you gave me everything that actually matters. Love, family, a reason to be better than I was. His arms tightened around me. I was a powerful man before you, Naomi, but I wasn't a happy one. You changed that. We changed each other. You taught me to be brave, to take risks, to accept that life isn't always safe or simple. I taught you that vulnerability isn't weakness, and that family is worth more than power. I turned in his arms. We built something beautiful together. Mom, Nonna. Sophia came running over, her hands covered in dirt. Look, I planted a whole flower all by myself. That's wonderful, sweetheart. I knelt to her level, not caring about the dirt she was inevitably about to get on me. What kind of flower? Athena flowers, because Great Uncle Marco said Nonna and Aunt Bella like Greek mythology. She beamed with pride. Do you think they'll grow big and pretty? I think they'll be the most beautiful flowers in the garden. I hugged her. This next generation who would grow up with stories about how her Nonna met her Nono, how a coffee shop encounter changed everything. Bella joined us, smiling at her daughter's enthusiasm. She's been talking about these flowers for weeks. Ever since Leo mentioned your mythology obsession when you were her age. Some interests run in families, I said, looking at Dante. Speaking of which, has Sophia asked yet about what Nono used to do for work? She asked last week. I told her Nono was a businessman who helped people in the neighborhood. She doesn't need the full truth until she's older. Bella's expression was thoughtful. I remember when I figured it out. I was maybe 10, started putting pieces together. The security, the way people acted around Papa, conversations that would stop when I entered a room. Did it change how you felt about him? Not even a little. He was still my papa, who read me bedtime stories and helped with homework and made me feel safe. She watched Dante playing with Leo. That's what matters to kids. Not what their parents do, but how their parents love them. He loved me perfectly. Still does. He loves you all perfectly, Maria said. Even when he was at his most dangerous, his family was sacred. That's what made him different from other men in his position. They saw family as leverage. He saw family as everything. Dinner that evening was chaos in the best way. Leo arguing playfully with Bella about something. Sophia chattering about her flowers. Dante and I trying to maintain order while also laughing at our family's antics. This was what I'd wanted without knowing I wanted it. Noise, love, connection, belonging. Tell the story again, Sophia demanded after dinner. About how Nonna and Nono met. You've heard it 100 times, Bella laughed. But I want to hear it again. It's the best story. Dante and I exchanged glances. The story Sophia knew was the sanitized version. Her great-aunt Bella had been in the coffee shop. Nonna had been kind to her. Nono had been grateful, and they'd fallen in love. The full truth. The security team, the lies, the danger, could wait until she was older. Once upon a time, I began. There was a little girl who wanted to feel normal for just one afternoon. She sat at a stranger's table in a coffee shop and asked if she could stay. That stranger said yes, even though it wasn't the smartest decision, and that yes changed 3 lives forever. The little girl, the stranger, and the little girl's papa, Sophia recited. She'd memorized this part, exactly. The little girl got a mother who loved her. The stranger got a family she'd always wanted. And the papa got someone who reminded him that love is more important than anything else. I looked at Dante. And they all lived happily ever after. That's not how the story really goes, Leo said with teenage skepticism. There's more to it than that. Security and danger and the important parts are true, Dante interrupted gently. Your mother was brave enough to help a scared child. I was smart enough to see that bravery and want it in our lives. Everything else is just details. After Sophia went to bed and Leo disappeared to his room, Bella lingered with us. I wanted to tell you both something, she said, nervous in a way that reminded me of the 7-year-old she'd been. I've met someone. It's serious. He wants to meet you, Papa, but he's worried about your past, about whether you'll approve. What does he do? Dante asked. His protective father instincts immediately activated. He's a teacher. High school history. Completely normal, boring, safe, Bella smiled. Kind of like how Mom was when you met her. I think I have a type. Good people who balance out my complicated family. Then I'd like to meet him. If he makes you happy and treats you well, his job doesn't matter. Dante pulled her into a hug. You deserve someone who sees you, not my past or the family reputation. Just you. That's what he does. He knows who you were, who our family is, but he loves me anyway. She hugged him back, kind of like Mom. After Bella left, Dante and I sat in comfortable silence, processing our daughter falling in love, our granddaughter growing up, the passage of time that had brought us from that coffee shop to this moment. Do you think about it? Dante asked. What your life would have been if Bella hadn't sat at your table that day. Sometimes, I'd probably still be teaching, living alone in that Queens apartment, going through the motions of a safe, predictable life. I took his hand. I'd be fine. But I wouldn't have this. You, the kids, Maria, the whole chaotic, beautiful family we've built. I'd have missed out on everything that matters. I think about it too. What would have happened if you'd told Bella to leave, or called security instead of helping her? I'd still be running the organization, still isolated, still putting power over people. Bella would be lonely and scared. He brought my hand to his lips. One moment of kindness from a stranger changed the trajectory of our entire lives. Not just kindness. Connection. Recognition. I saw a scared child and remembered what it felt like to be alone and afraid. I helped her because I understood her, even without knowing her story. I shifted to face him fully, And you saw someone who cared about your daughter more than their own safety. That's what drew you to me. Not just that I helped Bella, but that I was willing to lie to armed security for a child I'd just met. I fell in love with your bravery before I even knew your real name. His dark eyes were soft with memory. Watching you claim to be Bella's aunt, so confident, so protective of a stranger's child. I thought, this woman is either insane or incredible. Turns out you were both. I prefer courageously stupid. I laughed. Because let's be honest, lying to mob security was not my smartest moment. But it was your most important moment, the moment that brought you into our lives permanently. He pulled me close. 20 years, Naomi. 20 years of marriage, of family, of building this life together. And I still fall more in love with you every day. Even when I'm old and gray, you're not old. We're both in our prime. He kissed me. But yes, even when we're old and gray, even when we're elderly and our grandchildren are bringing their families to visit, I'll still love you the way I loved you that day in my office when you refused to sign the NDA unless I let you keep seeing Bella. You thought I was blackmailing you. You were blackmailing me, using my own daughter's well-being to negotiate with a mob boss. It was bold and stupid and exactly what I needed. Someone who cared more about doing right by Bella than about their own safety. We sat in the quiet of our home, the home we'd built together, filled with memories and love, and the echoes of 2 decades of family life. Through the window, I could see the garden where Sophia had planted her Athena flowers, where Bella had played as a child, where Leo had taken his first steps. Do you think we'll have more grandchildren? I asked. I hope so. Leo's got to settle down eventually, and if Bella's new boyfriend is serious, maybe more babies in a few years. Dante smiled at the thought. I'm looking forward to being a grandfather who's actually present. I miss too much with my own kids. I won't miss anything with the grandchildren. You didn't miss that much. You were there for all the important moments. Only because you pushed me to be. Reminded me constantly that family was more important than power. He squeezed my hand. You saved me from becoming the kind of man who put organization over everything, the kind who ended up alone and powerful instead of surrounded by love. We saved each other. I was alone before you, going through motions, teaching other people's children but having no family of my own. You gave me Bella, then Leo, then this whole beautiful extended family. You gave me purpose beyond just existing. Then we're even. Both of us rescued from lonely existences by a 7-year-old who just wanted to feel normal for an afternoon. Best rescue mission ever. That night, lying in bed, Dante pulled me close. I have a confession, he said. I knew within a week of meeting you that I wanted to marry you. Knew you were the one who could save both me and Bella from the isolated life we were living. But I waited years to propose, because I wanted to make sure you were really choosing this life, not just feeling trapped by circumstances. I chose it the moment I lied to Marco about being Bella's aunt. Everything after that was just me committing deeper to a choice I'd already made. I kissed him. I've never regretted it, not once. Even in the scary moments, the dangerous times, the complications, I never wished I'd walked away. Good. Because I couldn't have survived losing you. Either of you. His arms tightened around me. You and Bella are the reason I'm still human. The reason I chose family over power. The reason I have anything worth living for beyond money and influence. We're the reason you're happy. But Dante, you're the reason we're safe, loved, secure. You built this life for us, protected us, made sacrifices to give us normalcy. I traced the lines of his face, familiar after 20 years. We're all reasons for each other. That's what family is. I love you, Naomi Russo. Teacher, mother, wife, the brave woman who let a strange child sit at her table and changed everything. I love you too. Dante Russo, father, husband, former mob boss, the man who answered when his daughter asked if I could stay. Outside, the city continued its endless rhythm. Somewhere, other families were building their own stories, their own connections. But here, in this brownstone in Brooklyn, we had everything that mattered. Love, family, and a story that began with a simple question from a scared 7-year-old. Can I sit here? I won't bother you. Of course you can stay. One question, one answer, 20 years of love and family and belonging. The best decision I'd ever made was saying yes to a child who needed kindness. The best gift I'd ever received was the family that came from that choice, and I'd make the same choice again, every single time.